Don't forget to check out our grades for all of the prospects in this year's draft class by visiting the link at the bottom of the screen. The Minnesota Vikings came into the 2018 NFL Draft not needing to address a lot of holes on their roster, which essentially turned them into taking the best player available. They have a pretty deep roster, but still came away with some impressive players. Jalen Holmes and Brian O'Neill were two very productive guys at their respective schools, and I thought Holmes was a much better defensive end than the highly touted Sam Hubbard. And O'Neill is one of the best athletes at the position in this draft class. What I liked most about the Vikings draft was the Mike Hughes selection. He was my #1 cornerback prospect in the class because of his ability to play all 3 corner spots, top-notch footwork and ball skills, and also the ability to score touchdowns. Can you score or can you take the ball away is very important to me, and I think he's a plug-and-play starter opposite of Xavier Rhodes. Colby Gossett was an underrated prospect throughout this entire process. He's really good on both ends of offense, but his run blocking skills and ability to climb to the second level with ease was the most impressive traits. I thought the Vikings got themselves another steal with Ade Aruna out of Tulane. He graded out pretty high for me in my #2 defensive end, and he still has a lot of upside left in his game. He's still new to playing the game and got better each and every season with the Green Wave. His raw talent is what you can't teach or coach, but the technical parts of playing the position you definitely can, and he'll get that in abundance with the Vikings. Tyler Conklin out of Central Michigan was my #1 flex tight end in this draft class. He's a bigger wide receiver out in space with the athleticism to contort his body for the contested catch. He's battled the injury bug throughout the course of his collegiate career, but when he's on the field, he's definitely a difference maker. I was shocked that Hercules Meta'afa wasn't drafted, but the Minnesota Vikings get a very good football player in the Washington State Cougar. Meta'afa was a 3-tech in college, and that experience in using his hands and quickness to be effective will definitely come in handy as he transitions to the edge. I think he'll make that transition a lot easier than many folks think, and he should continue to live in opposing backfields as a pro. Jeff Badet has a ton of speed and explosiveness. In space, he's dangerous because he can outrun both man coverage and is a zone buster. He's ideally suited to play inside, but can be moved all around the formation. The Vikings seem to have been an ideal landing spot for talented wide receivers in the undrafted free agent market. Corey Robertson plays a very physical game and has a lot of Roddy White in his game, in my opinion. I think he can excel as a bigger slot receiver, and I'm a big fan of how he's able to consistently win at the catch point. Holton Hill out of Texas is a versatile defender that can play on the outside or as an overhang defender or slot safety. His tape was very good, and he adds more talent and versatility to the Vikings secondary. Brett Taylor was one of the best linebackers in the FCS. He's also the best linebacker in Western Illinois history. The 4-time All-Conference and All-American, can play all 3 backer spots, but is an ideal Mike backer in my opinion. He'll definitely have a role on this team and will be a training camp and preseason star. Jake Wieneke is a silent assassin. While the game day focus was always on his teammate Dallas Goedert, Wieneke was very loudly killing the opposing defense on the outside, both in between the 20s and inside the red zone. There's not a jump ball opportunity that he cannot win. He's a really good football player. Rock Thomas has very similar traits to former Vikings tailback Jerick McKinnon, and I can foresee him serving in a similar role within his offense. He has great acceleration and could immediately impact special teams. Peter Pujols out of Holy Cross will be an intriguing prospect to watch throughout training camp. He was the heart and soul of that Crusaders program during his time and brings a nice set of dual threat skills to the table. I gave the Vikings an A for their draft. They did a fantastic job of acquiring good football players with upside. These are guys that may not have tested the best, but they can play the game pretty damn good. Also, they racked up in the undrafted free agent market, and like I mentioned earlier, this team has a deep, talented roster, and it just got even deeper and more talented with this draft class.